Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another listening and learning session. This is the month of May, and really pleased to be at the Inn at Westport. And I've been doing this now for 7 years, but this is the first time I've had the opportunity to engage the residents here. And Michelle Rasmussen was kind enough to set this up. Thank you, Michelle. And would you just briefly just give a history on the Inn at Westport and how many folks live here, please? Right in there.
Oh, right in there. Okay, I talk in here. The Inn on Westport opened in 1996, so we've been here about 21 years. We're an independent and assisted living, and we also have a memory care unit. We have 133 apartments, and so usually we have about 145 people living here.
Okay. Well, Michelle, thank you. And again, this is a community within our community, and so really looking forward to engaging you. We've got a really good crowd here, so thank you for that, Michelle. Appreciate it. Love the enthusiasm. And again, folks, I would be happy to answer any questions you want. I can talk for an hour and a half nonstop about our city. You don't want that. But again, nice to be here. So what is everybody talking about at the Inn in Westport right now? What's going on here? Anybody? Well, this is going to be the shortest program we've ever had in listening and learning history. But no, thank you. Would you mind starting, please, Michelle? Thank you. And just tell me your first name, please. I'd appreciate that.
My name is Robert, and we are in the assisted living part of the program here. But recently we've had a number of people who have talked about having to go into Minnesota and Iowa and long distances away from here to find nursing home services. And I just wondered what you knew about the Medicare posturing of the city and what may be the future of expanding that program. It seems that our current governor may have some budget concerns on that area as well.
And it was Robert? Robert had asked about the importance of places for the active generation to live, and he is hearing more and more that people are having to, actually even look at Iowa or Minnesota to find good places to live when you're of the active generation or retired or memory care or things like that. Nursing homes, very good. Robert, first of all, there is certainly an appetite and a need for more places for people of the active generation where they want to live in Sioux Falls. We know that. One of the things that South Dakota does is they actually they have policies that really kind of control where nursing homes or retirement communities are, and the goal is to get the existing ones across the state utilized at an appropriate level, okay? So one of the challenges that we have in Sioux Falls is that there are a lot of people of your age, the active generation, that want to move to Sioux Falls. This is where they want to retire. They want access to health care. They want access to things to do. They want access to good jobs, things like that. But yes, it is more challenging because the demand is so high and there are limited places to go. And if they don't find the place where they want, they are going to places like Iowa and Minnesota to get that place where they want to live. In terms of what the City of Sioux Falls can do, not much in terms of changing that law or changing that policy. We can work with our legislators, we can work with our governor to see if they'd be willing to change that policy, but right now there's not a lot of interest to do that. The good news is that the places that we do have, such as the Inn at Westport, it's pretty busy. Do you have any vacancies, Michelle, right now? Talking to the mic. Talking to the mic.
Not many, just a couple.
Okay. So, Robert, we're glad that you're here. Are you a Sioux Falls person, Robert? Michelle. Thank you. You'll get used to it.
I'll get used to
Yes.
From 89 to 92, I was in charge of the Salvation Army here.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
And then we retired back here in '04, and we've been here the last almost 7 years now,
Okay, very good.
and have enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I think the primary concern is the Medicare impact on nursing homes more
Yeah.
than just active generations.
Yes. Yeah, no, I concur, because you're right. It's more of just the active generation. There are folks that are younger that also get great value from a place like the Inn at Westport or other care facilities. So thank you. But Robert, thanks for kicking it off. I appreciate it. And thanks for coming back to Sioux Falls. Love it. Love it. And this is the place, Sioux Falls is certainly a place where people want to retire at. We were named one of the top 5 retirement communities in America for a variety of reasons. Access to health care, and we've got some of the best health care in the world right here in Sioux Falls. Safe place to live, reasonable cost of living, access to jobs, and that's important for the active generation. Many people, they also want maybe a part-time job, so there's that, and just great quality of life. So I'm glad you're all selected Sioux Falls. If I could, how many of you actually moved into Sioux Falls from another town? If you'd raise your hand. So, okay, about a third to maybe 40%. But the majority of people are Sioux Falls people who stayed here. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Another question, anything or comment? Thank you.
Mayor Huether, I'd like to present you with a couple nominees for Mount Rushmore.
Okay. Very good. I love it. Thank you. I love it. Nice picture.
Those are a couple of golf heroes. But I do have another question. I have a grandson that is a fantastic graffiti artist.
Okay.
And there is no legal place in Sioux Falls for graffiti.
Very good.
I wondered if maybe down by the skate park, if there couldn't be a wall built along the railroad, maybe just plain old concrete blocks where people could do it without doing it illegally,
Yep.
without doing it on buildings they're not supposed to do it on. And I'd be glad to come bring him down to your office sometime.
Thank you.
And show you his drawings. He's a good art student, and all of the not visual arts, but painting arts are utilized in that kind of work.
Very good. And tell the people of Sioux Falls your name, please.
Well, I'm Mayor Huether's one-time golf partner.
Yes.
And we won first place, by the way.
And tell us your name.
My name is Bob Osborne.
You bet. Bob, first of all, and I'll let you folks know, Bob and I had the opportunity to play in a golf tournament, and we won it. So it was a good memory for me. Thank you. And in fact, I think we accepted the trophy right here, didn't we? Yeah, or we should have. But Bob had an interesting question. It's one that I've not been asked before in my 7 years as the mayor. Bob had asked, he said, Mayor, he goes, I've got was a grandson, right, Bob? I've got a grandson that is a graffiti artist, okay? And wanted to know if there's a place where you can legally do graffiti. And honestly, Bob, there is not really. And in fact, we have a really, really strong stance against graffiti. We do. And it's interesting, if we ever find any graffiti, whether it's on a business, whether it's on a public space, whatever it would be, we do our best to get rid of that graffiti, boom, like that. If it's a private business, we go to that business and we say, you have to get that removed immediately. If it's a public facility or a public space, we immediately get rid of that because we don't want folks to get the impression that they can do graffiti illegally in our town. But Bob does bring up a good point. There are cities all across America that actually kind of provide an environment where you can do graffiti. And there's some really beautiful stuff that's out there, incredible artwork. So we have actually talked about doing something downtown, Bob. We have. creating a wall space where you could come down and do your thing. But maybe we should do more of that. Artwork and design and creativity is really an important part of quality of life. And we just have not done that yet, though, here, Bob, and maybe we should. So good job. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. And wish your grandson the best, too. Thank you. Others? Another question or comment or anything? Well, then we're going to have cookies. Michelle? Folks, what's the hot topic? What are people concerned about here at the inn at Westport involving the city? Anything? Transportation? Michelle, would you mind let's go back. Thank you. And in fact, I'm going to try to do something. I'm going to give this to you as well. Thank you.
I would say something that comes up quite frequently at resident council and just at group activities, and I see a couple of the people that bring it up aren't here, but easier access to public transportation.
Yes.
Bus service run later, or something that's more user-friendly for this age group.
Yep, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Whenever I go to a center of active generations or a retirement community or a nursing home, this is the number one topic by far. Always is. People want more access to public transportation. They want more access to para-transportation. They would like more hours, more locations, more access. It is easily the number one thing that we talk about when I'm at those locations. And what I'm going to share with you again is that the demand for public transportation is as high as it's ever been, because we have a lot of people moving into our city that don't have a car, they don't have a truck, or in some cases they're actually used to using public transportation because they came here from Chicago or Los Angeles or whatever it would be. Here's the challenge, and here's the part where some of you are not going to be happy with your mayor. Here's the challenge. It's very expensive. Public transportation is incredibly expensive, and one of the challenges that we face is how do you pay for it as a city? And one of the things that's really expensive is para-transit, okay? And I'll give you an example. It costs the city or the citizens, it costs us about $27 to $30 per paratransit ride, okay? Now guess what we charge? We charge about $3. So that's where you're kind of going, how does that work? How can you make that make any business sense? And that's our challenge. It costs us 10 times more than what we actually charge. And so, you know, what do we do? How do we sustain that? Well, here's what we're doing. Right now, we're just trying to sustain what we have, realizing, though, that we're not meeting the needs of our growing city. And so that is becoming more and more of a challenge. People want more hours, they want more service, they want to live in another part of town. Because one of the challenges that we also face is that if you do need public transportation, or you do need paratransportation, you're actually almost kind of held hostage on where you can live. Because if you live outside of that coverage area, you're not going to have access to it. So it's a real challenge. Federally, the federal government money that used to be there, that's gone. The state money is really never been part of the equation. It's a small part of all. So for us to pay for public transportation, we have to learn to do it as a city. And it's probably too late for railway. It's too late for monorail. So really we're reliant on either public transportation buses, or we're reliant on some of the caravans and things like that we have. So it's not a good answer, but it's the one that I've got. And so guess what we're doing? More and more, we are encouraging care facilities like the Inn at Westport, the Center for Active Generations, and others. We're encouraging them to take up the quest, take up the need, and find a way to do it on their own. And it's not a good answer. It's not the answer that you want, but that is the answer that we have right now. We have also tried to raise fares, and that didn't go very far. It was very unpopular. And but again, I think you all understand. Okay, how do you sustain something when you're only recovering 10% of your costs? And it's hard, because when you're an active generation, you're trying to figure out, well, first I got to find a place to live, and I got to pay for that. I have to deal with healthcare costs, and healthcare costs are rising exponentially every year. You have to feed yourself and do all these other things. And so now the public transportation, you don't want that to go up either. We understand that. But at some point in time, kind of that rubber is going to hit the road, and it's going to be a real challenge. So thank you. Again, tough question. I appreciate it, though. Thank you. Other comments or other concerns? What are you hearing? Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dolores Cleveland, and I was concerned about that tragedy last fall when that building collapsed downtown.
Dolores.
And it made me wonder, did they have permission to make that change? Now, I have friends in England, and this friend has a shoe store, and we were visiting him, and he said, I can't drive a nail unless I have permission. And I'm sorry that happened.
No, we are too. Yeah,
and so
thank you.
That's my comment.
Great job. And it's Dolores?
Yeah.
Dolores. Very, very appropriate comment, and I appreciate it. What we're talking about is there was a building in downtown Sioux Falls that just one day it collapsed upon itself. And there were two folks that were caught in that rubble. Emily and her puppies were able to get out. Ethan was not, and he passed away tragically. And Dolores had asked, did they have permission to do that work? And Dolores, I have to be somewhat cautious because it's still under, I don't think it's under investigation anymore, but now there are lawsuits that are associated with it. Here's what I'll say, is that in order to do projects like that, you have to follow certain rules, okay? And I think that the investigation that has come out by OSHA and others are showing that not all those rules, not all those policies were followed, okay? Now, I highly doubt that I understand what that person was saying about you need permission before you can pound a nail. Yeah. I get that. That would be impossible. I mean, we've got a record-breaking construction happen all over our city. So you can't have someone there watching every nail that's being pounded. However, these contractors, these builders, these subcontractors, they are responsible for following the rules, not only of our city, but also of their industry and also of our state and our nation. And in this particular case, I think that they're going to find that there were some things that were just not done appropriately. And tragically, Ethan passed away because of it. You know, if anything, it's certainly any tragedy really helps bring to light that, hey, we really do need to be even more cautious than in this case than what they were. Any other thoughts, Dolores?
That was fine.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Dolores, where are you from?
Well, I've been a resident of Sioux Falls since '82.
82.
We lived on a farm west of Canton.
Okay. Dolores, why did you stay in Sioux Falls, or why did you stay in this area?
Well, I guess because it had a good city, a lot of variety, parks and museums and business places, and
Okay.
Well, it just has everything to offer.
Great.
I don't know if there's anything that's missing.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Well, folks, why anybody who moved into town that's not from Sioux Falls, would you mind telling us why you moved here? Would anybody be willing to do that? Thank you. I'm going to give that. Thank you.
I'm from Iowa, right on the border.
Okay.
Minnesota, Iowa, and South Dakota. And so we can travel, anytime we want, so it's really nice.
Why Sioux Falls?
What?
Yeah. Why did you choose Sioux Falls? Why didn't you go to Des Moines?
Well, because I lived in Iowa, right on the border, and we just happened to go to Sioux Falls.
Very good. Very good.
We used to shop there a lot.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And we need you all to keep shopping. Thank you. We appreciate that. Very good. Very good. Other questions or comments? Anybody? Yes, thank you. I'm going to have you two come back. 1 second, sir. We'll be right back.
I'm from San Diego, California.
Hold on. Start over.
I'm from San Diego, California.
Welcome. And your name, sir?
Andy Kitzman.
Hello, Andy.
I've seen you on TV.
Okay.
I know you always ask that question.
Thank you.
I'm glad to be here, and on account of this pretty girl next to me here,
Very good, Andy.
and as one of them, and also I got some pretty nurses too.
But Andy, there's pretty people in California too. So why Sioux Falls?
Say again?
Why did you come to Sioux Falls?
Andy, I
everybody
said,
asks me that question.
well,
I got
said,
relatives here.
I said there's pretty people in California too.
Let me
so
shake your hand
thank
there,
you,
Mr.
thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
We have a mayor in Los Angeles too.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
Very good. So was it relatives that brought you here?
relatives.
Relatives. Okay. Okay. Very good. So what do you think of Sioux Falls?
I think it's great. I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting for these joy rides, but they're coming up, I'm sure.
Very good.
And is that correct?
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Andy,
She
thank you.
says yes.
Very
She
good.
hasn't lied to me yet.
Well, I would say, well, first of all, Andy, welcome. Glad you're in Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glad I'm here too.
Thank you. I will say, if you do have the opportunity to at the inn at Westport to drive around Sioux Falls, I think it would be a great thing. There are so many things happening in Sioux Falls right now. It is certainly, we've had 4 years of record-breaking construction, and I think that we're going to break this year's record as well. There's things happening all over town, north, south, east, west, our downtown. It is just booming, going gangbusters. Downtown especially, Michelle, if you can get an opportunity to take the folks downtown, it really is bustling at in a great pace. And in fact, we just got our new sculptures put up in downtown, and they're absolutely magnificent this year. But yes, Andy, again, welcome. Thank you for coming. Maybe to give you some perspective too, last year alone, we added 5,200 people onto our city. 5,200. Since I've been your mayor, we've added a city the size of Watertown, South Dakota, onto our city. So it is the place where everybody wants to be. It's where they want to move to. And so that's a good thing. But I will ask, how many of you think that Sioux Falls is now getting too big? Raise your hand if you think Sioux Falls is getting too big. Not very many. Oh, that's good. Oh, so that's good. So probably 10%. So that means good. Well, okay. Wow, that's interesting. Did you catch that, Joel? Very good. There are some folks who think that we are growing too fast. I do think that we are staying one step ahead of that growth, but certainly you are feeling it in terms of more traffic. We've had some crime challenges, especially if it involves meth or drugs or drinking or mental illness. That is the biggest cause when it comes to crime. But still, it's a great city, still very clean, still very safe. A lot of opportunity. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in all of America. So any of you want a job, we've got one for you. So again, thank you. But Andy, thank you. Welcome. Any questions or thoughts? And yes, thank you. Here you go. Sure. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
And you mentioned all the growth that's occurring in Sioux Falls. I'm curious about a couple of issues related to that growth.
Sure.
The first being the push for annexation
Yes.
For various communities. I'm wondering about a timeline on that. And then the other issue is doing that loop kind of from T all the way over,
Good job.
kind of as a additional I-229 type deal. I'm wondering what the timeline is on that project as well.
Good job, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark's first comment was on annexations, and what that means is that as your city grows, we grow out. And what happens is that as we grow, we are actually going around certain areas that have not been part of our city or part of our town. And so you grow around them, and you actually create these islands that are not part of Sioux Falls. And so at some point in time, you want to what we call annex them. You want to bring them into your city. And Mark, I will tell you, I think we've been able to accomplish quite a few good things since I've been your mayor. But if there's one place where we've lost ground, Mark, it is with annexations. We actually have more islands now than when I started as your mayor. About 3-4 years ago, started a process to try to figure out a way to bring these in. Worked with city councilors, worked with other people, not only here in Sioux Falls, but across the state. And sincerely, we ran into some big roadblocks. Number one, the laws and the policies, they're not very favorable for the city that wants to annex in these properties. They very, very protective of the owners that are there today. Secondly, it's very expensive to bring people in. And so then the question is, who pays for it? You know, you've got a piece of property that doesn't have a sewer line or a water line or maybe curb and gutter on their street or lights or sidewalks. So who's supposed to pay for that? Well, of course, these residents who don't live in the city, their first reaction is, we'd love to have that stuff, Mayor, as long as somebody else pays for it. Or it's got to be at an amount that is reasonable or fair to them, that understands the value of it. And so, Mark, right now, here's where we're at. There is no time frame other than we've got to get something done. We've got to find good common ground. We've got to compromise. We've got to find a solution that's not only good for just the city, it's got to be good for these property owners that are going to be annexed into the city. And so we'll see what happens with that, Mark. And I do think that we'll find good common ground. One of the things that we're considering right now is that some of these citizens that are not part of Sioux Falls, they live in an area that doesn't have curb or gutter or lights or sidewalk, okay? Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's unique. Maybe it provides kind of another alternative for someone. Maybe they don't want all those fancy smancy things, and that's okay. So maybe instead of the city of Sioux Falls forcing everybody to be the same, if we do annex these properties in, maybe they will not have to do that. So that's just one of the things that we're looking at, Mark. And then the other thing that Mark asked about was there is this road, it's called Veterans Parkway, okay? And it's, you're familiar with the interstates, you're familiar with Interstate 229. Well, now there's another big road just outside of that loop that we're working on as well. And it'll take us from I-90 over to I-29, and it's a monster project. And we do about 1 mile to 1.5 miles of that a year. And we want to go from one side of the city over to the other side. And so that's happening because we are growing so fast. We are. Eventually, the city of T will be hooked up, and it'll take you again on another loop all the way around the southwest, south to the to kind of that northwest, northeast part of our town. So it's coming. Again, very expensive project, but needed sorely as well. Yeah, good job, Mark. Thank you. Others, any comment? What's everybody talking about at breakfast or at lunch right now here at the Inn at Westport? Anything? Yes, thank you. Andy? You go? Thanks, Andy. Thank you.
Okay, my question is, starting from Mark, they started it off. When are you going to annex these other small towns? That's the question I have. But just like L.A.,
yes.
They took in Harbor City and San Pedro, and
Yep.
we needed a breakwater in those days, so that's why L.A. came in on it. But it's a desert town there.
Yep.
And as you know, except for the mountains, and we've got plenty of those.
Andy, good job. Thank you. Well, Andy, one thing that you'll get familiar with is that our small towns, they have a lot of pride, And so I don't know if we'll ever annex an entire town. I don't think so, but I think that we'll eventually grow towards these cities. Right now, we're getting very close to T, the city of T. We're getting closer to the city of Harrisburg. We're getting closer to the city of Brandon. We're getting closer to places like, Hartford and things like that. But in terms of us annexing them, I don't think that will ever happen. But sooner than later, we will be kind of button up to each other. We will. T will be first. So, Corson, T, Harrisburg, Brandon, we are getting closer. And so it's interesting. They're growing rapidly as well. Lincoln County, we're not in Lincoln County. No, we're still in Minnehaha County. Lincoln County is one of the fastest growing counties in the country, and it's easily the fastest growing county in South Dakota, Lincoln County. And so that takes you out to Harrisburg and T and those areas. So yeah, Andy, soon we'll be out there. Yeah. Lincoln County is on the south side of Sioux Falls. On the south side of Sioux Falls. Yep. And so you got Minnehaha County, you've got Lincoln County, and Sioux Falls is in both. Folks, we've got 5 school districts now in the city of Sioux Falls. Isn't that's unique too? Andy, you'll have to try to figure out our school, the way we do schools here in South Dakota. It's really unique. But yeah, we've got 5 different school districts within the city of Sioux Falls, which really makes it interesting as well. I'm sorry, Andy? Yes, Andy is graduated. Joel, I don't know if you caught that. Yes, thank you. Others. Any questions, comments? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bob?
I'd like to just give a comment, commendation for Sioux Falls.
Thank you.
I'd like to give a commendation for Sioux Falls. I have a brother that lives in Marysville, Washington, and a sister lives in Spokane, Washington. When they visit here, we don't have enough time to get to all the gourmet specialties around town. Fantastic restaurants, quite a variety, and museums. I've taken them to several museums. The zoo and Delbridge Museum are wonderful. We just went to the Butterfly House. And I like the wild nature in Sioux Falls. My brother and I are bird watchers, and we've spotted so many different birds here along American redstarts, eastern bluebirds, Baltimore Orioles fighting with a blue jay for nesting area. I mean, it's really, and deer. We found a baby fawn still had the spots running down his back, lying hidden in the grass just off the bike trail about 40 feet. It's really a wonderful city.
Thank you, Bob. Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Folks, it is a wonderful city, and I think that the quality of life that we have, and again, I'm your mayor, so yeah, I'm a little proud of it, but our quality of life right now, it is so good because there are so many options. If you need something to do, there is something to do all the time in Sioux Falls. And now it's even going to get bigger. For example, the Levitt Pavilion. That's the next thing. That's going to happen in downtown Sioux Falls. It'll be done just as I'm done being your mayor. That's going to have at least 50 free performances in the summer alone. Free. Did you hear that, folks? 50 free performances in downtown Sioux Falls at the Levitt. So the Inn at Westport, along with all these others, you should be able to take a bus at least 50 times in the summer for free music, free concert, free entertainment. Of course, we've got the Events Center. We've got the Washington Pavilion. We've got the Orpheum Theater. We've got all these other things that are going on, whether it be the bike trail, museums, shopping, and more. So yeah, it really is it's really a beautiful community. However, to be fair, you know, and it costs money too. Okay, I know there's some folks probably in this room who are thinking, Mayor, you didn't have to build that event center. You know, you didn't need to, but it has been a wonderful asset for our city. It's now the 88th busiest event center in the
USA?
in the world.
Oh, no.
In the world. It's the 88th busiest event. Thank you. When it comes to touring events, it's the 88th busiest event center in the world. It is so busy all the time. And that's been good. Not only does it improve our quality of life, but it also brings in money, sales tax dollars. And so all these people that are coming in from out of town, that's really critical for Sioux Falls. Because we need them to not only come into town, we need them to spend their money here so that we can pay for roads and police officers and libraries and whatever. Yeah. Do you folks go to the library at all? Oh, you do? Okay, good. Because we just remodeled that library. I hope you like it. I hope you like it. Good, good. Thank you. Bob, that was very kind. What, are you bucking for a job at the Chamber of Commerce or something? Or no? Okay, okay.
Maybe he's going to run for your job.
Well, hey, and speaking of that, Bob, today, and folks, this is kind of interesting. Officially today, this is the official countdown of my last year as your mayor. It'll be May 15th, 2018, at about 1 o'clock, at about right this time, where we'll be swearing in your new mayor, and I'll be, I guess, riding off into the sunset. And but no, so Bob, you should consider it. At least city council. Come on, at least city council. How many think Bob should run for city council? Raise your, okay. Very good. But no, we would encourage all kinds of people to consider it. You know, people thought I was crazy when I did it. I was the executive vice president at Premier Bank Card and First Premier Bank here in Sioux Falls, and I left to pursue this dream I had to become, you know, a public servant, and it's been wonderful. 7 of the most incredible years of my life, and thanks to you. So Bob, you should consider it. Yeah, thank you. Any other thoughts? Yeah, oh, here we go. Thank you. Michelle, you got one back there first, Michelle? No, okay. We'll come right back. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you.
The State Theater has always been my very, very favorite, and I've been waiting and waiting, watching them go past that place. When in the world are they going to open?
Well, tell us your name.
Esther.
Esther. Very good. Esther asked about the State Theater. When is that thing going to open? Come on, Mayor. First of all, that is a private entity, Esther. It's private. The city does not own the State Theater. It's a group of stewards, a group of leaders, a group of investors that are trying to take that old icon in our city and refurbish it and open it up again. Esther, they're looking for money to help in that effort. They've had a couple of different events there, but not near to the level that they want. They want to have movies there again. They want to have performances there again. But it costs millions of dollars to refurbish it to the point that they want. Esther, I know they're as hungry to open that place up as you are, but I don't know what the time frame is. But truly, it will be based on how much money they can generate privately to refurbish the State Theater. Yeah, good job. Good job. That's the first time that question's been asked to me, too. Very good, Esther. Thank you. Esther, where are you from?
Rock Valley, Iowa.
Oh, gosh.
Rock Valley, Iowa.
Esther's from Rock Valley, Iowa. So we're getting in all this Iowa blood. Love that.
Every week, take the train, get in at 9 o'clock, get here, shop, turn around at 9, go back to Rock Valley.
Okay, very good. But now you're living here. You're living here. Very good. How long have you lived here, Esther?
I've lived here ever since I was 19.
Okay.
I've moved here from Rock Valley, met my husband here, and have been here ever since.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Well, thanks for coming to Sioux Falls, too. I appreciate it. So tell me, why are you so intrigued by the State Theater?
Because I love movies. I love good movies.
Okay.
It's good entertainment.
Yes. Yeah. And movies at the State Theater, that would be just phenomenal. And I know there's so many people that want to make that happen, but it is so expensive. You know, and I've had people say behind the scenes, you know, Mayor, why doesn't the city give a bunch of money to the State Theater too, just to kind of get it open? And I understand that argument, you know, but here's the challenge. Everybody wants something that is important to them. You know, Mark wants, you know, let's say we got public transportation, we want better roads, we want improved public safety, we want another library, we want the State Theater open, we want the more country shows, we want this or we want that. Bob wants even cleaner water at the Big Sioux so that we have more birds, more fawns, and whatever, more fish. And that's the thing. We all want something that is important to us. The problem is that it's all expensive. And that's where I think that you find that balance in terms of taking the valuable dollars that come in from your taxes and then spending them in the most appropriate way. And but to be fair, every time we spend, $1, 4 out of every 10 of you are mad because we didn't need that. We shouldn't have done that. We should have spent it here. And that's the way that it works. The good news is that in Sioux Falls, we balance our budget extremely well. And in fact, we've got a piggy bank that's pretty full right now. Okay, so that's good news. The state of South Dakota, they balance their budget as well. Governor Dugard and the team out there. They also have a reserve level. Not as big as Sioux Falls in terms of its percentage, but still a good reserve. Sadly, the one entity that is not is our United States government. They just print money like crazy. But sadly, that's just debt that our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids are going to have to somehow try to absorb that. But in Sioux Falls and in South Dakota, you're living in a very, very prudent city and a very, very prudent state. So good job. Thank you. Other thoughts? Oh, thank you. Here we go. Please. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a plus.
Thank you.
Which one?
Just talking to both.
Talking about.
Hi, my name is Jenny Keller, and Mike was a wonderful child.
Jenny, you're very kind. Thank you.
Tell us more.
Yes.
My daughter used to babysit him quite a bit. and I was wondering what you're going to run for next.
Jenny,
We're waiting for an announcement.
sorry, what was that?
We're waiting for an announcement.
Okay. Well, Jenny, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I do get that question quite often, and I respect it, especially as I'm getting closer to ending my term as your mayor. And this was reality. The kind of, the 1 year date happened today, and so the clock is ticking even faster. Jenny, here's what I'll tell you is that Cindy and I, we think about it all the time. We really do, because we're asked the question so often. And what I've been telling people, and I mean it sincerely, is that we're still trying to figure this out. We're struggling. And that's real. That's as genuine and as real as I can make it, is that we're struggling. It shouldn't be easy to decide what your next public service role is going to be, because here's one thing that I think folks need to understand, and that is you aren't just given the role of mayor, or someone isn't going to come up and say, I now make you the governor of South Dakota, or the United States senator, or a United States House of Representative, or the United States president. You don't just get it. You have to earn it. And Jenny, it is really hard, and it's an incredible sacrifice, not only to earn the role, but then once you're in it, that's a sacrifice too. And my beautiful bride, Cindy, has been doing this now for about 8 years, because she had to campaign for a year too. And so we're struggling with it, but I do want to be in public service again someday, because I've had so much fun. I love it. It's been just an incredible joy for me, a real blessing for me. But at the same time, Jenny, I'm getting older too. I am. I've got a grandson now. Did you guys know that? I have a grandson now. George is almost a year old. And, I'm loving that. And there's all these other things that I want to do before God takes me. And so I'm trying to figure out, what do we do? There's 42 things on my magic list that I want to do before I pass away. I just knocked one off last week. One of the things on my magic list was to be the commencement speaker at my alma mater's graduation. And last week, I was the commencement speaker at South Dakota State University. And it was just an incredible thrill. So I still got a bunch of things, though, I have to knock off that list, Jenny, and so we'll see what happens. But thank you. Well, thank you. And so I don't know when the announcement's going to come, but whatever it is, I'm excited about it. I just want another day. I do. Give me another day. Try to make a difference with it. Meet new people, experience new things, create additional memories. That's what I want. And if God gives that to me, I'm gonna take advantage of it. Just like today, I've had a blast. So thank you. Who's got a tough question? Come on. You do, I can tell. No? Do you have a question? Yes.
Now, I'm just thinking.
Here we go.
We want to get rid of not income tax, state sales tax for the food.
Okay. Oh, that's it. Oh, very good. Very good. That's an interesting question. Very good. And the question, in your name, please.
Pardon?
Your name.
Lynn.
Lynn, that's a good question. I don't know if I've been asked that in a listening and learning session before, but it's that's an appropriate one. Here's what Lynn asked. She said, Mayor, when is South Dakota going to get rid of the sales tax on food? Isn't that an interesting question? Because right now, there's really only two ways that we pay for things in Sioux Falls and in South Dakota. Really only two ways. What is one of them? Sure, very good. Property taxes, yes. Real estate taxes, that's one of them. So if you own property, whether it be a home, whether it be in at Westport, or whether it be a business, you pay property taxes, and that helps fund our government, city and state. The other one, as Lynn mentioned, were sales taxes. Okay, every time you buy something in South Dakota, you pay a sales tax. Okay, and that goes to not only paying for things in state government, but also goes to pay for things in city government and as well. But what Lynn asked is kind of intriguing. She goes, but Mayor, let's get rid of, or when are we going to get rid of? You didn't say let's get rid of, sorry. When are we going to get rid of the sales tax on food? And that's interesting because that has been discussed quite a bit over the last probably 4 years. And it kind of gains a little attraction in Pierre, but then it kind of backs away. And the reason that they back away from it, Lynn, is that you need to have an alternative tax if you are going to get rid of it, okay? Because it does generate money into the state and into the city. So the question is, if you get rid of the sales tax on food, then what are you going to tax instead? There have been some proposals out there. You know, just increase the tax on all the other stuff so that it equalizes it out. So Lynn, I don't know, that's interesting. Because what most people say is that when it comes to taxes on food, that's called, in some cases, a regressive tax. The people who can least afford it, they have to pay their percentage the most. Because everybody needs food, right? So people are questioning, why do we have a tax on food? There are some states across America that do have sales taxes, but they exempt food. Okay, in South Dakota, we don't, and in Sioux Falls, we don't. Good job. That's a good question. Thank you. Others? Yes, thanks. Mark, is it? Yeah, Mark, good job. Here you go. Here, hang on, buddy. Thank you, Mark.
If you can't tell, I like food. And so I know a couple of my coworkers were kind of talking a little jokingly, but they are curious as to the new restaurants coming to town.
Yes.
And in particular, if there is any plan for a cheesecake factory.
Oh my gosh. Oh. All right. Well, in Sioux Falls, I love our local restaurants. I do. But one of my favorites is the Cheesecake Factory. And we don't have them here in Sioux Falls. P.F. Chang's, for example, Cheesecake Factory, for example, those are national restaurants. And before they usually move into a city, they want a certain size of city, or at least that metropolitan area to be a certain size. We're right now at about 250,000 people in terms of the size of our metropolitan area. Mark, I don't know what Cheesecake Factory's numbers are, what they need to be, or P.F. Chang's, but obviously we must not be there yet. We must not be enticing enough yet for Cheesecake Factory. Now, one of the things that it's interesting, I can't believe I'm talking about Cheesecake Factory. I love it. Cheesecake Factory, though, they're actually looking at smaller now restaurants. So maybe that would be our first step into it. I don't know. But, but as Bob had mentioned earlier, though, we have got a food scene that's just going gangbusters right now. You can get just about any kind of food in the city of Sioux Falls, I think, other than maybe Thai food. I think we need a Thai restaurant. But other than that, we've got just about everything. It's just phenomenal. And then we also have food trucks out there, too, that are delivering food. And so, yeah, it's really a good time. You know, I know you can get Cheesecake Factory in the store. You can get some of their Cheesecake Factory cheesecake in the store, but it's not as good as being there. Yes. Good job, Mark. I love food, too. Good job. Others? Come on. Anything? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Donna.
Thanks, Donna.
I'm wondering if you would address any current building projects which the City of Sioux Falls is involved in. I believe one of them being the city offices building, and then where we are at with the, I believe it's public parking ramp.
Yes, very good. Very good.
And any other ones that I'm not thinking of.
Thank you. Good job. Betty. Donna, sorry. Donna, thank you. Donna asked about building projects that are happening in the city that are part of the city budget, okay? The two big, and there's all kinds of them, Donna, whether it be, a new park or refurbishing a bike trail or investing in some of our building projects. The two biggest are the ones that's underway right now is the City administration building. That is going very well. It is ahead of schedule. Right now, it's doing well within its budget, and it's really going. It's going good. My goal, hopefully, is that we'll have that thing ready to go by the time I'm done being your mayor. So May of 18, at least hopefully we'll have a ribbon cutting. But it's going well. It's going to be it's going to be beautiful. We're also going to refurbish Van Epps Park as well, which is right beside it. And so that's going well. The other one that has not started is the discussion around a public-private partnership to build a new parking ramp as well as retail and living establishment in our downtown. That is still under study in terms of what ultimately it's going to look like, how much it will cost, how big it will be. We have a pretty good idea about the location, but in terms of there's been no funding yet for it, no final design on it, and so that's still in its negotiation or its a due diligence stages. But we definitely need more parking in downtown Sioux Falls. Not only has it been the place to live, and the place to, not only has it been the place to work and the place to play, now it's become the place to live. Folks want to live in downtown Sioux Falls like crazy. They just do. And so we need more parking. But also we want more retail, more things to do, more restaurants. And so that's been fun. We've got high income places to live, lower income places to live, but it's all happening in downtown. If you want a place to live in downtown Sioux Falls right now, it's hard to find one. That's why we're building new condos, new apartments, new affordable housing in downtown Sioux Falls more than just about anywhere else in the city. It's going well. Thank you. Good job. Did you have a specific question on any of those? Here you go. Thank you. Thank you, Donna.
Yes, in regards to the parking ramp.
Yes.
So no bids are coming in now, or they're actually working at which company the city will be working with to build that?
Very good.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm 103 years old. I'm 103 years old.
Well, I'm sorry, we're going to interrupt your question on this one. All right, Sioux Falls. I don't know if you caught that, but we are definitely going to interrupt that question for this. I came by, so please tell me your name.
What?
Your name.
Nelda Johnson.
Nelda Johnson is 103 years old. I think that's a round of applause, not? Can I ask, what's your secret?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Well, whatever it is, it's working. So Nelda, thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. 103. Where are you from?
Oh, around Sioux Falls.
Okay.
And all my life.
All your life. Okay. And did you work outside of the home?
Yeah. A waitress.
Okay. But 103, I love it. Well, bless you, and thanks for letting me be your mayor.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. The question that Don had asked is that are there any bids going on with that parking ramp and things like that? The answer is not yet. We don't have a final design. We don't have a final. We don't know what's going to be all entailed with it, the private portion, the public portion. But once that's decided, then they can go and determine approximate costs on it, and then go get the bids and all that. But it's still in a stage where I know they've got design firms, they've got investors that want to partner with the city to ultimately make that happen. So that's been done. But in terms of getting to that final step, we're getting closer all the time. Yeah. I know that Darren Smith, who's now at the Washington, he probably wanted that thing done years ago, but we'll get it done. We'll find a way to get it done. Thank you. Others? Anything? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
My name is Karen.
Karen.
In reference to parking and the lack thereof, what is being discussed as far as additional parking at the event center and in that whole
Very good.
area? There are many functions and events, but no place to park.
Very good. Karen talked about the event center and parking out there, and she said there's many places, there's many things going on out there, but she made the comment, no place to park. I will, again, I want to be cautious, but I'm going to, Karen, there's plenty of places to park. It's just that not everybody wants to walk, a block and a half to get there. It is incredibly unusual, Sioux Falls, to have free parking at any event center in America. I think that sometimes people forget about that. When you come to an event at our event center or our convention center, it is free. So that's something I think that folks need to realize first, is that there's plenty of parking, and also it is free of charge now. One of the things that I found interesting about people from Sioux Falls and from South Dakota, folks don't like to walk very far. They want it to be as short as possible. In fact, we have, I'll give you an example. There's the Buffalo Wild Wings, which is right by the Canary Stadium. I have people that come to me and they'll say, Mayor, I had to park all the way over by Buffalo Wild Wings to get into the event center. And I just think about that and go, that's pretty close. But I also understand that people want that convenience. So I've had people say, well, Mayor, let's build some parking ramps there at the event center to make it more convenient, okay? Well, let me kind of give you a flavor. Why would we build parking ramps if we're only going to utilize them a couple of times a year to provide convenience? A parking stall in a parking ramp is going to cost you around $20,000 to $25,000 per stall. That's a lot of taxpayer dollars, so that people can walk, instead of a block, they can walk a half a block or 250 yards. So again, I apologize. I know that there's times when it's busy, especially if there's multiple events. You could have a home show going on, and at the same time there is an event at the event center. Or we had the circus was going on at the same time that we had, I think it was professional bull riding, for example. And that definitely made it busier, and people had to walk farther. But there is plenty of parking at the event center. It's just not all within 250 yards of the building. It's not. And I know that's probably not the answer you wanted, but can you tell me, what would you want us to do to improve the parking out there?
I don't have any particular ideas in mind. It was just a question.
Yeah.
I basically was thinking about times in bad weather. People don't mind walking a few blocks, but if you have to walk a mile in the winter, it gets a little difficult with 3 or 4 events, the arts and craft, the circus, and the other events that you mentioned.
The farthest you should have to walk at our event center is probably 2 to 3 blocks. And yes, in inclement weather, especially in the wintertime when it's so cold, that really is when you feel it. But still, if you go to other cities across America where they have event centers, especially as one is as busy as ours, number one, it's not free. You're going to pay a minimum of $15 per park to park there. And number two, it's a lot farther than the parking that we have at the Denny Center Premier Center. But again, thank you. I appreciate it, because you bet. We just had the circus and PBR, and it was hard to find a parking spot that was really close. You did have to walk farther. So I respect your question. Thank you. Good job. Others? Anything? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.
I'm Steve Johnson. My mother's lived here almost 5 years. Coming to visit her with all the construction.
Yes.
Is the construction on schedule, and when will it be done?
Very good. And it was Steve.
Steve.
Yes, Steve. Very good. I was waiting for that one. Come on, Mayor, this construction. Well, first of all, as your mayor, you know one thing that I love. I love orange barrels and orange cones, and I love construction. I love it. And I think we've made a lot of progress over the last 7 years in terms of repairing and rebuilding our roads. But the Inn at Westport, folks, if you're wondering, it is near some of the biggest construction projects that we have going on in the city this year, especially the one on Louise. I mean, that's a monster. Right now, the weather has been phenomenal. The weather's been great. So we're ahead of schedule when it comes to that project. It's going very, very well. We're appreciative of all the people, driving, taking detours, and the businesses that are being impacted. But it's really going well. Now, Steve, here's one thing that I will say, is that we probably should have done that project a year ago or 2 years ago. We should have. But we were trying to squeeze blood out of that, that taxpayer dollar as much as we could, trying to, extend the use of that road. But it was bad. It was bad at the end, and you folks know that. But it's going to be beautiful when it's done. It'll be safer. It'll be smoother. It'll be faster. It'll be more easily accessible. So I think you'll find that will happen. But then, Steve, there's other roads all across the city that we're going after pretty aggressively too. We love summers here because then we can do road repair work, and it's different. There's my California guy, right back there. We can't do road repair in the wintertime here. We just can't. So we have to squeeze in a year's worth of road repair in about 5-6 months. Yeah, so it makes it harder. It does. So good job. That's a great question, Steve. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for visiting your mom. Yeah, Steve loves his mom. Good job. You bet. Any other questions? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Our California resident asked, hey, Mayor, when will we see this on television? You'll see it soon. It takes about a week to produce it, Joel. About a week to produce it. And then it's on channel 16 or channel 594. What would it be here? Do you know, Michelle? Mark? Do you folks know? What is it on? 594. Channel 594 or channel 16. It's called the Mayor's Listening and Learning Session. And yeah, you'll see it. And you all look good. Yeah, great light in here. I love it. Love it. Colors are just popping today, aren't they, Joel? Yeah, it's great. Any other questions? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm Peg, and I have a question. We've talked a lot about money.
Yes.
Today, in my mailbox, Monday, I got 8 letters from people that want money. Mm. How can we stop that? Is that your next job?
Well,
it's a government job, I'm sure.
Actually, that what was it? Peg. Peg said, Mayor, I'm getting all these requests for money. Probably charities, right? Charities, nonprofits, things like that. Yeah, all kinds of things. It's the city is not responsible for that. The state's not responsible for that. Those are private entities that are either nonprofits or not-for-profits or other charity organizations. Peg, the best advice I could give you is that you can get on what's called a do not solicit list. You can do that. That helps stop at least the phone calls and some of the letters. But the best advice I could give everybody, whether you're young or old, rich or poor, black or white, as you're getting that stuff, if it doesn't touch your heart, if it doesn't feel right to you, just recycle it. Tear it up and recycle it. But one of the things that I will say is that I don't want to denigrate, though, a lot of these organizations that are asking for money, because I'll give you some examples. We can't have government take care of everything. We can't. There's got to be private entities, private charities, private organizations that help out as well. Because if we're reliant on government to do all of it, that's going to be a whole nother thing coming, and then your taxes are going to be dramatically higher. So if it is a good organization that's doing good things, and they are asking for money, I would probably encourage you to consider it. But you make that decision. That's the one good thing about these charities or these people asking. You do not have to give them a dime. You don't have to. So yeah, but good job. Good job. Thank you. Same thing with phone calls. If I don't know who's calling me, I don't pick it up. I make them give me go to my answering machine. And I'd encourage you to do the same thing. Yeah, if you've got an answering machine. Yeah, so thank you. Good job, Peg. Thank you. And no, that will not be my next job. That will not, Bob, that's not going to be my next job. No, I'm not going to do that. So thank you. Anything else, folks? Well, I thank you. I thank you. This has been a really enjoyable visit. Nice to be here. I'll be back maybe playing golf. I don't know if I'll be with Bob next time, but I'll be back. That was a lot of fun. Food was good. A lot of nice people I met that day. But again, on behalf of the people of Sioux Falls, thanks for engaging us today. They will watch this program and they learn something all the time. And again, as your mayor, I thank you for letting me serve you as well. So make it a great day, everybody. Thank you.